A man noticed a weird voice coming from his living room, and this is when the following was recorded.
They scrambled to safety. That entire complex really slammed the entire New York metro area.
Did you catch it? A strange silhouette can be seen in the shadow. Assumingly, this was the reason for the strange noises he heard earlier. Unfortunately, not more detail is given about what really took place in his apartment that night. Creepy. A man drove past a fatal accident site one night when something really terrifying unfolded. It is speculated that the man captured the spirit of a woman who lost her life in the very accident he just captured 2 hours prior. Could this be? Why would a person stand in the pitch-black forest after all? Grace thought she was dealing with a simple leak after a storm caused water to start collecting upstairs in her grandparents' home.
What's going on here is that, so with the storm going on, this part of the house has been flooding.
But once the source of the flooding was traced back to a section of the attic, the situation suddenly became much stranger. The water appeared to be coming from behind a small enclosed section of the wall.
Showed you guys on the video, that one, it would always be shut off.
And according to Grace, that particular space had always been off limits. Apparently, her grandfather had closed the area up several years earlier. After he passed away, nobody in the family really knew what he had left behind in there. Eventually, 2 repairmen came to investigate the leak.
Yeah, I think it might be a bigger problem. So
if you guys open it, let's
Hidden behind the wall was an elaborate dollhouse that had belonged to Grace's grandfather and was apparently worth a considerable amount of money. Finding an antique hidden away like this was strange enough, but the footage captured around the same time contained something far more difficult to explain.
By frame back and forth, because I think you're able to tell that there's like a little thing that happened.
Whatever passed the camera is difficult to identify. It could be something completely ordinary, caught from an unusual angle. But considering the area appeared empty immediately beforehand, the clip understandably left Grace unsettled. Then there was the door.
Like, I don't know if you guys can tell very well in the video. Like, let's say this is the door, right? It goes like...
In another recording, Grace noticed that one of the doors appeared to open and then continue moving gradually, almost as though pressure was being applied from the other side. Of course, old houses, airflow, and uneven floors can all cause doors to move unexpectedly. Still, taken together with the strange figure and the discovery behind the wall, the timing was enough to make Grace question what was happening upstairs.
Like, my grandpa shut it off. It would always be shut off. Like, over the years, we've just placed decoration to mix it with the wall.
What remains particularly puzzling is why her grandfather concealed the dollhouse in the first place. The family says the opening had been covered for years, with decorations eventually placed around it until the sealed section simply blended into the rest of the room. There may be a completely practical explanation. Perhaps the dollhouse was valuable and her grandfather wanted it stored somewhere protected. But because he never explained his reasoning, the family is left with another possibility. Maybe there was a reason he didn't want anyone going inside that space. For now, Grace and her family have decided not to open the wall any further until they can do it properly without causing unnecessary damage. So the dollhouse remains where it was hidden, along with the unanswered question of why it was sealed away in the first place. And as for the strange figure and the moving door, those remain open to interpretation. What do you think Grace's camera actually captured? A guy pulls out his phone in a public bathroom after hearing something off. He figures at first it's just someone arguing, maybe dealing with someone rude in the next stall over. But the sounds coming through the walls don't really match that. They're stranger than that. So he hits record. The middle stall shows a pair of shoes moving underneath the door. And there are sounds coming from inside. Low grunts, strained and unnatural. But that's not what had people talking. In the stall next to it, another pair of feet, completely still. And there's whispering, constant, unbroken. It sounds like recitation, rhythmic and deliberate, maybe a prayer or scripture. That's what kicked off the speculation. A lot of viewers thought whoever was standing still might have been performing some kind of religious practice. Without any concrete answers, viewers are left to draw their own conclusions about what actually transpired in that bathroom stall. A user going by Platform 13 uploaded footage shot inside a dark 2-story house. There's no backstory, no setup, just a single line of text that reads, "What does it want from me?" The camera operator starts moving through the rooms, scanning the space like they're looking for something they know is there. The phone moves farther in, and that's when you can see it, a shadowy shape beneath the stairs. The figure is mostly hidden by the steps and the low light, but the outline is human, upright, motionless, and seemingly watching. From that angle, it looks like someone just standing there, tracking every movement. There's no detail, no face, no clothes, nothing clear enough to say whether it's a person, a shadow, or just part of the house. But 3 weeks after that video, Platform 13 filmed the same staircase again. This time, whatever was there seemed to be looking down from the floor above.
Can you hear it? From over there.
The camera is positioned directly under a ceiling opening. At first, there's nothing, just empty space. The person even lifts their hand toward it before turning back toward the stairs. Then, right at the edge of that white frame, something dark and round begins to push into view. 2 pale spots appear in the blackness, spaced like a pair of eyes. Whatever they belong to stays hidden, as if it's crouched just out of sight, watching from above. The camera starts to move closer, but the clip cuts off before anything else comes through the gap. Several months later, Platform 13 shared a new video from a different room. The lens stays on an oven's dark glass surface, where a reflection shows what looks like a hunched figure seated behind the person filming. When the camera swings around to check, there's only a black beanbag against the wall. When the phone turns back, the silhouette is still visible, but the shape, the pointed top, the sagging middle, matches the beanbag almost exactly. The curve of the oven door warps the reflection, stretching it into something that resembles a head and torso. Nothing in the reflection actually moves on its own. The last video starts outside another dark room. The door is open. The person watches for a few seconds, then closes it, waits, and checks the time. When they open it again, the room looks empty. They step inside and start looking around, but there's one more caption overlaid on the screen. Don't look behind you. So are these just well-made creepy videos posted for attention? Or did Platform 13 actually film something real in one of these clips without meaning to? Joseph lives directly across from a property that recently went up for sale. Curious about the place, he decided to attend an open house and film parts of the walkthrough.
So, that's the house, literally across the street from my house. I've dubbed it the demon house at this point.
Joseph says the atmosphere inside immediately made him uncomfortable. Although at first, there was nothing concrete he could point to. That changed when he and the realtor entered one of the rooms.
Gives a little character, that's all I can say.
How long has this house been up on the market? You heard that?
Hell no. Sorry.
No, I'm not tripping that.
Oh.
I thought I was at
over
a...
here or something, man.
Nah.
That's not normal.
That gotta be a mouse or something. Oh, nah.
Something appears to disturb a mirror nearby. Both men initially try to explain it away. Then the closet door opens.
Oh, nah.
After witnessing both incidents within seconds of each other, he and the realtor decided they had seen enough and headed out of the house. But the strangest part of this story actually came afterward. Once Joseph posted his footage online, he received a message from people who claimed they had previously lived in the property.
Family that used to live in that house saw my video. They hit me up, sent me a DM, and said that it brought back all these memories for them, right? And that was one of the reasons why they moved out. They started telling me about their son. They said that their son was seeing what he described as the Fuzzy Man. The name alone, I'm like, Fuzzy Man, but he's a kid, he's going to describe what he sees. He wasn't just seeing him out and about. He kept seeing him in the mirrors.
That detail suddenly reminded Joseph of something he had filmed during the open house. Several mirrors inside the property had been covered with blankets. At the time, he assumed there was probably an ordinary reason for it. After hearing what the former family told him, however, those covered mirrors became much harder for him to ignore. It also appeared that several mirrors had simply been left behind after the family moved out. Joseph still had no way of knowing whether any of this was connected. Eventually, footage from a security camera gave him another reason to keep watching. Joseph initially considered the obvious possibility that somebody had broken in. Maybe a squatter had been staying there. But then he noticed how quickly the shape seemed to change positions inside the house. That brought the story of the Fuzzy Man straight back to his mind. He couldn't prove that the figure was connected to what the family's son had reportedly been seeing.
What can move from the kitchen to the living room in under a second?
But there was another detail that caught his attention. The shape appeared again in later footage, and each time it seemed to show up at roughly the same hour. around 8 o'clock at night. That happens to be when lights inside the vacant property automatically switch on. Joseph began deliberately watching the house around that time, hoping he might finally get a clearer look at whatever kept appearing on camera.
At any moment now, these lights should be cutting on. Yep.
For a while, nothing especially convincing happened. Then, one evening, he noticed something behind one of the windows. A dark outline appears to be standing beyond the blinds.
Out. I mean, for the most part, hey, there's a number if anybody wants a haunted house. Alright, so this light right here just cut on, right? Now, mind you, these lights are on a timer, and they come on at 8 o'clock. Look at the sun, y'all. It's not 8 o'clock. Now, I came over here earlier, right? Tell me if y'all see. Y'all see that? Do y'all see that? So this is what we're gonna do then. We're gonna go around the back. We're gonna go to the back of this house so that y'all can see that there ain't no tree, no nothing. Nothing casting a shadow. Bro, am I tripping? Oh my God. Bro, are you kidding me? Oh!
Joseph is already unsettled when something much more dramatic happens. A dark shape suddenly rushes past the window. Whatever crossed the window moved so quickly that Joseph couldn't identify it in the moment. But after replaying the clip, he began comparing it with the earlier security footage. To him, the similarities were difficult to dismiss. The same dark appearance, the same unusual speed, and once again, movement inside a house that was supposedly empty. Whether this was a person, a misleading shadow, some strange combination of reflections and lighting, or something much harder to explain, is impossible to determine from the footage alone. But Joseph has experienced enough around the property to reach at least one definite conclusion. Whatever is happening inside that house, he has absolutely no interest in becoming its next owner. This woman started staying in an Airbnb after something in her own house kept happening. Something she wouldn't explain on camera, but serious enough that she packed up and left a place she'd lived in for years. That's not a small decision, and according to her, changing locations didn't actually fix the problem. She posted an update recently, and here's what she wrote. Something happened that night in the rental. Up until then, she'd seen unsettling things, but nothing like this. She only posted part of the video, because what comes after is worse than anything before. She didn't want people to see the rest. She says the move didn't stop it. In her own words, it feels like it came with her, not tied to the house, but to her.
Il est 5 heures. Il est 5 heures. 5 heures. 5 heures. 5 heures. 5 heures. 5 heures, voilà. Ça continue. Ça continue. Ah, vite.
first, it looks like something is standing just behind the door. You can see what almost resembles an eye, dark and unnatural, watching from the other side. But then a shadow moves across the gap. It doesn't slide past the door, it seems to pass directly through the wood, reshaping itself to fit through the narrow crack. According to her, this kind of behavior is associated with lower entities, things that aren't just spirits, but something darker. She called them manifestations from what some refer to as the lower astral plane. A YouTuber named Einar was streaming live with a group of friends one afternoon, just driving around and killing time. The broadcast went on for hours, mostly casual hangout footage. As the sun started going down, people in the chat began suggesting they visit an old abandoned building on the edge of town. Einar and his friends decided to take them up on it, and kept the camera rolling the whole way there. They made their way inside and started walking through the empty rooms, eventually reaching the top floor. In the back corner of the attic, they spotted something. Someone was sitting there, completely still, barely visible in the shadows. Einar moved closer, and the casual tone shifted fast.
Ебать! Кто это сидит? Нет, я вообще долбоёб, или мне показалось?
Ты чё?
Я клянусь, там кто-то сидит. Но я не понял, кто.
Давайте.
Пошли. Иди с палкой защищай.
Это Лёха? Стой, 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 без приколов. Без приколов. Я не вижу лицо, просто мне темно. Я бы понял, если бы маска какая-то была, я бы понял. Маска там была?
Блядь,
Кто там? С маской?
это кукла, походу, я хз.
А, все, это Лёха тогда.
Нет, да не пойду.
Манекен?
He could barely make out the shape, but it looked like a person just sitting there. The group figured it was a mannequin, maybe left behind years ago. Einar thought the same, though something felt off. It looked too real, the proportions too accurate, but he still couldn't see the face. He tried moving in a few more times to get a closer look, but something made him stop short each time.
В смысле манекен? Где? Какой манекен? Вы чё, ёбнуты? Или манекен? Я клянусь, лица не вижу через камеру. Что это, блядь? Эй! Эй! Лёха, ты? Как это манекен? У него ноги бабушки. Лёха, это ты? А чё я могу кинуть? Нет, это Лёха. Ебланская конченая бутылка Балтика 9, твой рот я ебал. Лёха, я клянусь, я просто не вижу лица. Лёх, сдвинься, если ты не манекен. Просто подними руку, если ты не манекен, я уйду, клянусь. Если ты поднимешь руку. Не, это манекен. Только как нахуй у него одели? В рубашку? Двинься, если ты не манекен. Да нет, это человек, я отсюда вижу. Блять, что у него на голове? Я не вижу голову. Кто это? Лех, ты? Умоляю, не пугай, клянусь, это ты, и мне страшно.
Then the figure shifted, just slightly, but enough to make it clear this wasn't a mannequin. There was an actual person sitting there in total darkness. The group ran. What was someone doing alone in the dark in a building no one uses anymore? And why sit there frozen like that, without making a sound? According to some reports that came out later, the whole thing might have been set up. Supposedly, someone from the live chat had planned the scare in advance and told them exactly which building to go to. If that was the goal, they definitely pulled it off. The account that posted this clip goes by SodaBongo2000 on TikTok, and if you scroll through their page, you'll find almost nothing paranormal. Most of their uploads are just travel photos and basic slideshow content, posted every once in a while with no real pattern. But in mid-July 2026, they shared footage from an indoor security camera, recorded in the middle of the night, and it's difficult to dismiss. What makes the clip strange is that the camera itself starts moving, panning slowly across the room as if it's locked onto something. And if you watch carefully, there's a small glowing sphere floating through the frame, drifting across what should be an empty space. Then a second light shoots directly toward the lens. That's not the unsettling part though. Look at the microwave sitting in the background. The moment that second orb comes into view, something dark shows up in the reflection on the appliance door, a silhouette that looks distinctly human. It's easy to miss on the first pass, but when you adjust the brightness, the outline becomes clearer, a figure standing motionless in an empty room. According to the uploader, this footage was recorded at 4 in the morning, a time when everyone in the household was asleep. On the main feed, there's no one visible in the living room at all. A woman recovering in a hospital room decided to film the space around her. Her oldest son was there at the time, and she grabbed her phone to record.
Habis Bapak jadi apa? Itu nah di pintu. Kamu juga di video. Mana yang dalam enggak? Habis Bapak jadi apa? Mana yang dalam enggak?
For just a moment, barely a blink, something pale and almost transparent shows up near the corner. It's shaped like a person, but it's gone before you can get a good look. The uploader never explained it, though plenty of viewers were convinced it was paranormal. A father who goes by Diaz-Bueso online woke up one night to his daughter standing beside his bed. She'd been hearing something scratching inside her wardrobe and didn't want to stay in her room. He got up and walked back with her, assuming it was just clothing or something stuck behind the door. The second he walks in, he catches something in the window glass. He doesn't want to scare her, so he pulls out his phone and starts filming.
O sea, no tengas miedo, mami. No es nada malo, o sea, es como... Se ve algo, pero ahorita te voy a demostrar que no es nada, ¿ok? No tengas miedo, ahorita. A ver. Se ve aquí. Pero... Pues... Por eso siempre te digo que cierres ese armario, ¿ok? Cierra el armario.
The recording starts on one of the kids asleep in the bottom bunk. When he turns toward the window, there's a tall dark figure in the reflection. He keeps his voice calm, telling his daughter it's probably nothing. He opens the wardrobe, looks inside, and tells her to leave it shut. When he points the phone back at the window, the shadow is still there, positioned right between the bunk bed's reflection and his own.
Pues... Por eso siempre te digo que cierres ese armario, ¿ok? Cierra el armario.
There's dark clothing hanging across from the window that might explain the shape, and the silhouette shifts slightly depending on the camera angle. It never actually moves. But the scratching his daughter mentioned started before he began recording. Was it just the reflection of something ordinary in the room? Or was there actually something outside?